Look around at the couples you know. She is the one who remembers birthdays, asks how everyone feels, tries to keep the peace, and somehow she is still called too emotional, too demanding, or never satisfied. Maybe you were taught that women are mysterious, dramatic creatures who always want more. But what if that is not the real story at all? Think of the last time a woman in your life went quiet instead of arguing. Did you assume she was fine, or did you ask what she had to carry alone that night? Here is the quiet truth underneath all of this. In many relationships, there is a repeating pattern where a woman's inner world and the label she receives from the outside do not match. She is carrying fear, responsibility, and a constant radar for tension, but what people see is dramatic, controlling, or never happy. The loop often starts early. As a girl, she may have watched her mother hold the emotional weight of the family, soothing everyone, reading the room, predicting conflict before it exploded. Nobody called that work, they just called it being a good woman. So she learns that love means scanning for danger, anticipating needs, noticing what could go wrong. Meanwhile, many boys grow up in homes where big feelings are mocked, shut down, or quietly handed to the women to manage. They learn that being strong means staying calm and fixing problems, not talking too much about what hurts. Years later, she lies awake thinking about bills, kids, health, unspoken tension, while he tells himself, if no one is yelling, we're fine. This difference in emotional training is the heart of what we can call the mistranslation loop. She thinks she is saying, I'm scared and I want us to be safe, but what reaches him sounds like, you are failing. He thinks he is saying, I don't want to fight with you, but what reaches her sounds like, you and your feelings don't matter. Over time, this loop writes a false story about women. That they are never satisfied, that they create problems from nothing, that they enjoy drama. In reality, what we are seeing is not a mysterious female nature, but a learned pattern built from family models, defense mechanisms, and two emotional dialects that no one ever taught them how to translate. From the woman's side, the inside of this looks very different from the story most men are told. On the surface, it might look like she is picking a fight about dishes in the sink or a message you replied to too slowly. But inside, there is usually a much older fear talking. Many women carry a deep, almost quiet question. Am I safe here, or am I slowly becoming invisible? That question does not arrive as a calm sentence. It shows up as a tight chest when you check out mentally, as a sharp tone when you dismiss her concern, as tears that seem too big for such a small situation. What looks like overreaction from the outside often feels, to her, like a survival alarm. When a woman loves someone, she rarely just loves casually. She invests her time, her body, her future, her reputation, sometimes her financial safety, and very often her emotional identity. She moves her boundaries, her plans, her version of me at my best to make space for us. That level of investment makes her radar very sensitive to signs of being replaced, downgraded, or slowly pushed to the back of your mind. So when you hide your screen for a second too long, or forget something she said mattered, it does not feel like one tiny mistake. It feels like a preview of a future where she is not chosen anymore. Imagine a typical evening. You are both on the couch. She notices you scrolling, laughing at something on your phone. She has had a long day carrying 1,000 invisible tasks, from remembering that your mother's birthday is coming up to mentally planning next week's schedule. She looks at you and thinks, I miss him, even though you are right there. She says, you're always on your phone. In her inner language, what she means is, I miss feeling like we are a team. But what she sees in your face is irritation, or a sigh, or a joke that brushes it off. After a while, her nervous system stops trusting that gentle bids for connection will be answered. So she raises the volume. That is when the accusations, sarcasm, or tears come out. Not because she likes drama, but because the soft version of her pain did not move you. Many women also carry the fear of being too much and not enough at the same time. Too emotional, too sensitive, too demanding. Not pretty enough, not calm enough, not successful enough. Every time you say, you're exaggerating, or you're making a big deal out of nothing, it presses exactly on that double wound. To protect herself, she may start to shut down. She talks less, asks for less, pretends she is fine. From the outside, this can look like peace. From the inside, It feels like slowly turning the lights off in her own heart because she has decided that her feelings are unsafe.
Here.
From the man's side, a lot of this looks and sounds very confusing. Many men grow up with a simple instruction: if there is a problem, fix it. If there is nothing to fix, relax. Feelings are often treated like background noise. So when a woman brings up the same issue again, his brain does not hear, "I am scared of losing you." It hears, "You are not good enough, no matter what you do." In his internal language, walking away from an argument, going quiet, or changing the subject are not always signs of disrespect. Very often, they are his way of saying, "I don't want to make this worse. I don't know how to win here without hurting you more, so I will just retreat." Take that moment when she says, "We never spend time together like before." She may be speaking from a place of nostalgia and loneliness, remembering the version of you who looked at her like she was the center of the room. What reaches his ears, though, can sound like, "You are failing at being a partner." If he already carries his own private fears about money, performance, or being good enough, that sentence lands like a punch to the chest. His shoulders tense. His tone hardens. Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about closeness. It is about defense. To protect himself, he might joke, rationalize, or list all the things he did that week. In his mind, he is offering evidence. "Look, I am trying." In her mind, he is avoiding the real issue. "He doesn't care how I feel." When she cries or raises her voice, many men experience it like a storm they are not equipped to handle. They were never taught that tears and intensity can be a form of, "Please meet me here." Instead, they hear danger. Their nervous system says, "If you stay in this conversation, you will be shamed, blamed, or trapped." So they shut down, go to another room, or escape into work, games, or a screen. To her, that looks exactly like abandonment in the moment she needs him most. To him, it feels like self-protection in the moment he feels most attacked. This is the core mistranslation. Her attempts to reconnect are often decoded as personal attacks, and his attempts to avoid conflict are often decoded as indifference. Most of the time, neither side wakes up thinking, "How can I hurt this person today?" They are both using emotional strategies that once kept them safe, now colliding in a shared space where no one gave them a dictionary for the other person's language. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. The first hard truth is that many men enjoy the benefits of a woman's emotional labor while secretly resenting the form it takes. They like having someone who remembers the details, who notices when they are off, who smooths over awkward family moments, who keeps track of birthdays and appointments. But when that same woman uses her voice to say, "I'm not okay with this," or "I need more from you here," suddenly she becomes too much. You cannot selectively value a woman's sensitivity only when it makes your life easier and dismiss it when it asks something of you. If you keep doing that, you are training her to believe that the only acceptable version of her is the one that stays quiet about her own pain. The second hard truth is that many women, without realizing it, communicate in a way that punishes honesty and then wonder why he hides. They say they want the truth, but when he finally admits that he is tired, scared, or unsure, they react with sarcasm, contempt, or comparison. Other men don't complain like this, or, "I can't believe you feel that way." Over time, he learns that opening up is expensive and never worth the cost. So he goes back into silence, which confirms her belief that men don't talk, and the loop tightens again. Loving someone does not give you a free pass to make their vulnerability a target. The third hard truth is that both sides often protect their favorite story more than they protect the relationship. His favorite story might be, "Women are impossible to please." Hers might be, "Men are naturally selfish." These stories feel safe because they explain disappointment without asking you to change your own habits. But as long as you keep repeating them, you will walk into every conflict already sure that the other person is the problem. You stop being curious. You stop listening. You stop asking, what is really happening underneath this behavior? The hidden truth about many women is not that they are mysterious creatures. It is that their fear, exhaustion, and longing have been misread for so long that even they sometimes believe the wrong story about themselves. So what does a way out of this misreading actually look like in real life? It rarely starts with a dramatic speech. More often, it begins with small, repeatable shifts. One simple practice that helps many couples is scheduling 10 undistracted minutes a day where both phones are out of reach. not to solve every issue at once, but to ask, "How is your heart today?" and listen without interrupting, fixing, or defending. In that short window, a woman can share something before it explodes, and a man can practice staying present without needing to have the perfect answer. Another quiet shift is changing the tone of the first sentence. Instead of, "You never listen," she can try, "This is important to me, can you stay with me for a minute?" Instead of, "You're too emotional," he can say, "I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, but I want to understand you." These small changes keep the door open. They turn conflict from a courtroom, where both sides try to win the argument, into a shared table, where the goal is to understand what the problem is doing to both of them, not who is the villain. Underneath all of this is a simple, uncomfortable reality. None of us were given a manual on how to love another human being while carrying our own wounds. Most women were not taught to name their fear without apologizing for it. Most men were not taught to stay present with someone else's feelings without feeling like a failure. So you meet each other as adults, but inside, there are still younger versions of you trying not to be abandoned, not to be shamed, not to be replaced. When a woman looks mysterious or never satisfied, what you are often seeing is not a game. You are seeing an old part of her asking, "If I stop trying so hard, will anyone stay?" The hidden truth is that women are usually not what the lazy stereotypes say. They are not born complainers or natural drama. They are human beings who were trained, over years, to carry emotional weight with one hand while pretending everything is fine with the other. When they finally speak up, it is often because the cost of silence has become higher than the fear of being called difficult. Listening to that moment with respect is not weakness. It is how you protect the relationship you say you value. None of this means you should stay in a connection that repeatedly crushes your sense of self, ignores your boundaries, or turns love into a weapon. There are relationships that are not just misunderstood, they are harmful. In those cases, the most loving thing you can do for both of you is to step away and choose safety. But in many other cases, what looks broken is actually two tired people speaking different emotional languages, both secretly hoping the other will finally understand. If you recognize yourself in this story, as the woman who is tired of being misread, or the man who is tired of feeling like the villain, take it as an invitation. Not to blame, not to beg, but to start a different kind of conversation. To say, "This is what it feels like inside my skin when we fight," and to stay long enough to hear the answer. You may not fix years of mistranslation in one night, but every honest, calm exchange adds a small deposit into that emotional bank account between you. If this spoke to you, consider liking the video, sharing it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribing to the channel. That way, we can keep building a space where men and women learn to understand each other instead of just fighting the same old battles.